refused to stop her, he was aiding and abetting Kenilworth. Snapping his mouth shut, Geoff wrenched his gaze from the carriage. All his planning, all the time and effort he had put into courting Lady Charlotte, all for naught. What the devil was he supposed to do? Drat it all, he needed a wife, and soon. Still, there must be a chance that all was not lost. There must be a way to get her back. "My lord, if you'd wanted to marry Lady Charlotte—" The Earl of Worthington cut Geoff off as he began striding away, as if there was nothing further to discuss. "You should not have disappeared in the middle of the season." He had not disappeared. He had specifically informed Lady Charlotte that he must attend his father. "But I wrote you expressly stating that I wished to speak with you about Lady Charlotte," Geoff said, following Worthington out of the square. That, after all, was what was properly expected from a gentleman wishing to marry a lady. Worthington halted and turned so quickly, Geoff almost ran into the man. "Be that as it may, I fully expect my sister to wed Kenilworth." They had reached the front door, and Worthington stood aside as Lady Merton was issuing orders to a footman placing a trunk on her coach. He pressed his lips together before saying, "Accept the facts as they are, and focus on finding another lady." Geoff's breath rushed out as if he'd been punched in the stomach. That was untenable. How the devil was he to find a wife of whom his father would approve and wed her in the short period of time he had? His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Finally he croaked, "This late in the season? That will be almost impossible. You should have thought of that before you left town." Worthington inclined his head. "I suggest you get started. Lady Holland's ball is this evening. The eligible ladies still here should be present." But none of them was Lady Charlotte. Then again, if he wished to take the position with Sir Charles, whom Geoff had been told was now in Brussels to try to manage the Prince of Orange, he must wed. Worthington was right. Geoff had no more time to waste on Lady Charlotte. He had to find a lady who wanted to marry him, and not drive off with another man. But whom? No other lady had attracted his attention, and he'd not paid attention to any other female all season. He jerked his mind back to the ball this evening. Had he even been sent a card to the entertainment? Not that it mattered. Even if Lady Holland had not invited him, he could attend. She was a friend of his mother's, and would not turn him away. No hostess would bar an eligible gentleman. She would also be able to introduce him to the ladies he hadn't yet met. He barely stopped himself from raking his fingers through his hair. How could this be happening to him? He had always been lucky before. Nothing he had ever wished to accomplish had been difficult. Yet now, less than a month before he was due to take up his position with Sir Charles Stuart, Britain's ambassador to France and The Hague, a position that required him to have a wife, he must find a suitable lady. For some reason, the fates must be out to get him. Geoff started down the street and out of the square towards his rooms on Jermyn Street. He had been so certain of his future with Lady Charlotte. Granted, he had been at his family's main estate for the past 3 weeks, attending his father and waiting for news of his acceptance to a post in the Foreign Office as an aide to Sir Charles Stuart. Geoff's father, the Marquis of Markham, did not believe in young men engaging in dissipation while waiting for their sires to die. He himself had spent time in the Foreign Office as a young man, and had determined his eldest son should do the same. Not that Geoff had in any way objected. The idea of living in Europe and learning more about the cultures and how diplomacy affected the world fascinated him. Confirmation of his posting came 3 days ago. The only hurdle he had yet to bring about was his marriage. He had thought that would be easily accomplished. His father had given him permission to wed the prize of the season, Lady Charlotte Carpenter. Lady Charlotte was everything a hopeful diplomat could wish for in a wife, possessing a perfect bearing and manners. She was never too loud, she was never out of temper, although she had seemed a bit crabbed of late. She was, in fact, moderate in all aspects of life, and beautiful.